Hi there friends, if you're new to my channel, my name's Nicole and today I want to talk to you guys about my experience studying abroad at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. So I studied abroad at St. Andrews the spring of my sophomore year, which would be 2 years ago now. So I was there 2 years ago at this time. And I had a really good experience, but also a very challenging experience, and I kind of wanted to address that with you guys and just share what my experience was like. I want to start off by saying that I know that I'm incredibly lucky and privileged to have gotten to go to St. Andrews and spend a semester abroad in Scotland, and I'm so grateful to my parents and my school and everyone who brought that about. But I also want to say that I've really wanted to film a video about this for a long time, and be very honest about the fact that it was very challenging for me, and that I dealt with a lot of guilt for feeling unhappy there. And I kind of wanted to address the fact that it's okay to be unhappy whenever you study abroad, especially if you're trying to make the best of the situation, and it's okay to want to go home and feel like you made a mistake, because I felt that way and I felt like I couldn't express it at the time, and I've kind of had to come to terms with it over the past few years. But first I'm going to talk a little bit about St. Andrews and then more about like my personal experience there. I filmed a room tour while I was there, and I still get questions on it asking me things about St. Andrews, and I'm always happy to chat. Send me an email, send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram or something, message me on YouTube, and I will be happy to answer any question that I can. So I want to talk first about why I chose St. Andrews. I knew that I wanted to study abroad in the UK because I do speak French, but I didn't really want to do any of the French programs that my school has. And I kind of came down to choosing between the London program, which I didn't want to do because it's all people from my school who go together, and I kind of wanted to be able to branch out a little more, or going back to the University of Sussex, which I had studied at the previous summer, or going to St. Andrews. And so I chose St. Andrews because it's a historic university and it has a wonderful history program, which is kind of what I went for. And that, I will admit, was incredible. So I applied, I got in, and I was really excited to go. I was very lucky because I had been talking to someone named Lucy on Twitter about the University of St. Andrews for a couple of years, honestly, at that point, and Lucy's now one of my best friends, so that turned out really nice. But that's kind of how I chose it and how I ended up getting there. Getting there was a big struggle. My dad did fly over with me and drive me up from Edinburgh to St. Andrews, because the thing about St. Andrews that I warn anyone who says that they want to study abroad there, it's kind of hard to get to. You definitely can make it work and can like get around places, but there's no train station, so you have to like take a bus to a train station or like take a bus to Edinburgh to get a flight or something like that if you're trying to go anywhere. I really didn't go anywhere other than Dundee, which is like the closest big town, while I was there. And I would go there just to like go to a mall and like get to a McDonald's, which sounds bad, but I like would crave McFlurries all the time. And go to Primark. But it is kind of harder than being in somewhere that is a big hub for travel if you want to go anywhere. So anyways, my dad and I went over, and I almost didn't stay. I almost went back home because it was really difficult. I would definitely say if you're going to St. Andrews, if it's at all possible, go in the fall, not in the spring, for a semester abroad, because in the fall there's a bunch of orientation stuff and there's a lot of new people coming in. But in the spring, they do some orientation stuff for the new students, but everyone else there kind of has their set friend groups, and a lot of like get to know you activities have already happened. So I think that it was definitely detrimental to go in the spring. But I finally decided that I was going to stay, and my dad left, and I cried like a baby. And then I had to go and pick my classes. Now, my classes didn't really work out because I knew I wanted to take 2 history modules, and I was eligible to be in the upper level ones. So I ended up getting one class that I wanted, which was called The Weaker Sex, Women in Scotland. I think it was 1700 to 1980 or something like that. No, 1800 to 1980. I don't know. It was a great class. If you're going there and they're offering it, I highly recommend it. I actually had such a good time in that class. I also ended up in one called Life of the Mind, which was like a early modern intellectual history class for 4th years, because the other classes that I wanted had filled up. I was over my head in that class, I will be perfectly honest. I was a 2nd year in a 4th year class. It was very difficult. I worked all the time. My family came for the first week of spring break, and I spent the 2nd week of spring break just working, while all my friends were off traveling. So it was a lot of work, and I would definitely recommend, if you're going there, don't estimate the classes that you can take, if that makes sense. I wish I had taken an easier class, maybe even a lower level that wouldn't have counted for as much, because I also got B's in the class, and on the Scottish grading system, I got a 16, a 17, which I was fairly proud of, but they transferred back as B's, and it hurt my GPA, which is fine, and I don't regret that, but I wish that I had known ahead of time because I never got a grade conversion chart before it showed up on my transcript. I didn't get the living situation that I wanted. There are a lot of different buildings at St. Andrews that you can live in, and you apply to which one you want. I really wanted to live in something like St. Salvador's, obviously, or St. Regulus, but I ended up getting placed in Agnes Blackadder, which is a self-catered accommodation out of town. So it was about a 30-minute walk to my class and about a 20-minute walk if you were going at a normal speed from the edge of town, which sucked, especially during the earlier winter months whenever it got dark out at like 5. And so I would have to walk home in the dark and it wasn't all that well lit. It ended up being okay because I enjoyed having a room to myself in my own bathroom, and someone came to clean it once a month, which was really nice. And I did end up making friends with my flatmates eventually. The shared kitchen was kind of weird. Also, the thing about Agnes Blackadder is, from what I've heard, the woman who designed it also designed Swedish women's prisons. So it has a little bit of a prison feel to it, like metal cabinets in the kitchen and stuff. So that was kind of not great. So I really didn't like where I was placed for living, and I think that had a huge impact on my unhappiness there because I felt very isolated out of town, and like I got sick a couple of times and I couldn't make the walk to town to get medicine or food, and that was really difficult. I also discovered my kiwi allergy while I was at St. Andrews and felt like I was dying and like couldn't get to town to do anything about it. So that was difficult. So I had a bunch of weird stuff happen while I was at St. Andrews that definitely contributed. So I'm not saying that if you go there you would have an experience like mine, but I do want to address the fact that like I had a really difficult study abroad experience and that that's okay. I will say I miss the town of St. Andrews every single day. It's very small, it's very quaint, it's mostly golfers in the golf season, students, and then some people who live there. I really enjoyed it because I live on a campus in the United States at my school, which is very much just students and professors, so I very much miss seeing families and older people out and about, and even tourists. But I loved St. Andrews, the town. I miss it all the time. They have the cutest bookstores, the cutest coffee shops. There's a Pret and an Eat, and there's a Costa, and that's all that I need, really. There's even an H&M, which I would go in all the time just to kind of walk around whenever I need a break. I loved the Student Union Cafe. I also loved the Union bar for going out with friends at night. There's so many cute pubs and cute hotels and restaurants. And I really miss Janetta's ice cream. Like, still, I would kill just to go back to get that. If you are going to St. Andrews and want any recommendations for like things to do, definitely ask me in the comments below and I will be happy to answer them for whatever you want to know. I also love that St. Andrews is so historical because like I went into the castle ruins and into the graveyard, and it's so cool knowing how much history happened there and that it's been around as a university for longer than my country's government has, which is insane. So I did really, really love the town of St. Andrews, and I would love to go back for a visit one day. My friend's situation was a little interesting. I was the only person from my university to go that semester, so I literally knew no one going in. I was very lucky that I did have that connection with Lucy already, and like the second week that I was there, we met up and instantly became best friends. And I'm so, so grateful to Lucy because there were so many times that I think I would have gone home if I hadn't had her. And she just made the entire experience seem worth it. And we're still super close today. We talk every week. I also became friends with my flatmates. I was very lucky that the girl who lived across the hall from me was English, but she had actually grown up in Atlanta, Georgia. So she helped me a lot with kind of adjusting to the British culture and just learning words for things. There would be times where I'd be like, Frankie, what does this word mean? So that was really nice. And she and her friend Emily, who lived next door to me, kind of took me in and helped me out a lot. And some of my best memories are the nights that we would stay up super late in our kitchen talking about the differences in America and the UK and like religion and political systems and educational systems and like sex ed and all these different things that I felt like I learned so much just from the two of them. And also my friend Michelle, who I discovered a couple of weeks in, was also super into musical theater, and so that was great, and we're still in contact some too. So I did make some friends. I also made some study abroad friends with other girls who were from America, and that was great because it kind of gave me people to do stuff with, even though I'm not really in touch with any of them now, but I definitely appreciated having them while I was there. So I also do want to address that part of what made my St. Andrews experience so difficult is I do have anxiety, and my anxiety was the worst it's ever been while I was at St. Andrews. I think it was partially because I was feeling quite isolated, both physically in St. Andrews and feeling isolated from a lot of my friends back home because I didn't really keep in touch that well with anyone except for my best friend Andrew. And so it kind of set it off a lot. I had a lot of panic attacks while I was there, which was very hard for me to deal with. And I've become a lot better at dealing with my anxiety since then, but it was kind of through the roof. And that definitely negatively influenced my experience. And like I said, again, I had a lot of things go wrong while I was there, so I'm not saying that like St. Andrews is a bad place to study abroad. I actually think it's a great place if you know what you're getting into, if you know that you're kind of isolated. It's also a place with a lot of people who have a lot of money, so sometimes that can be a little weird, because you can feel like social life is so expensive there, because it is. But I think you have to know that going in and just kind of be ready to deal with it. But yeah, so my anxiety, I have my notebook with notes. My anxiety made things very difficult for me while I was there. I also had to deal with things like being sick, discovering my kiwi allergy, which was weird, and also just really missing home. I'd never missed the US, which sounds bad, but I really didn't. I loved living in the UK, and if I could do it again, I totally would, in London or Brighton or somewhere like that. And I didn't really miss my university here, but I did miss some of my friends. I really missed my family, and I'm very lucky that I got to see them for my spring break. I have to say, as much as I'm saying that it was so hard, I grew so much as a person at St. Andrews. I felt like I came back a completely different human being. I am more self-sufficient now. I'm more independent. I know how to do things on my own, which I think is a really important skill for anyone. I feel like I know my own strength a lot more. I know that I can push through things. I know how to get through a really difficult class. And I also have accepted that class isn't the most important thing in the world. I think that was a really important revelation for me, classic Ravenclaw child, that there are more important things than academics, that taking care of yourself and your mental health is equally important, that spending time with friends is really good for your mental health sometimes. But I also learned how to say no to things when I felt like I couldn't handle it. I learned how to push myself beyond my boundaries. I went to Dundee by myself, which at first really scared me. I always go with friends, but it was a great experience. I learned so much about myself and about who I am and what I want while I was there that I will definitely always think it was worth it. Looking back, I do wish I had chosen to go somewhere else, but then I kind of think, oh, well, maybe meeting Lucy made up for it. But yeah, I think going abroad, if you can afford it, and I know that not everyone can. I don't want to sound like a, super privileged person saying this, but I think if you can go abroad, it's really important. Or not even just abroad, but like a Study USA program is great too. Because I think that you learn a lot about yourself when you're off the place that you've become comfortable with and on your own for the first time. So basically the message of this is A, if you have any questions about St. Andrews, I'm happy to answer them. And B, it's okay to not be okay while you're abroad. My God, I told myself I wasn't getting emotional while I filmed this. But I really struggled with that. I felt really guilty whenever I was upset. And I felt like I couldn't tell anyone from back home. And it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have a bad time. Whether that's a bad day or a bad experience overall, it's okay to have issues with your mental health. And it's okay to feel like you made a mistake and just have to work with it. And it's okay to want to go home. Because that's also something that a lot of the time I was like, God, I wish I was back at home. Not at home on my university campus, but like at home with my family. And I felt really guilty for all of that. And I talked about this some already on my blog. I also had a blog while I was at St. Andrews if you want to know in great detail what I did there, because I put up a post almost every day. It was in american@standandrews.blogspot.com. I can link it down below too, so if you want to learn more about St. Andrews or more about my study abroad experience, because I was fairly honest on there about dealing with mental health and things, definitely check those out. Otherwise, of course, as always, if you like this, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I am doing study abroad content on my blog as well this week. I'm going to do a post, I think, about how to choose a program for you and one on how to make the most of your experience. Also, I would love to do a Q&A at some point, either on the blog or on YouTube. So if you guys have questions, leave them below. And I'll try and get back to you in the comments, but also might film a video with them as well. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope that maybe it helps somebody out. I wish that I had been able to find videos of people talking about going to St. Andrews. I don't know if this is helpful at all. I also had a video series while I was there called, I think, Letters to St. Andrews, which I will also link below. I'll just put all the St. Andrews stuff below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this. I'm sorry I was kind of emotional, and it's a bit more negative of a video than I typically film. But I'd like to talk more about like mental health and things like that on my channel. So let me know if you guys want to see that. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.